Hi, Chris. It's Mom. Look, honey, I've got a lot of work to do, so I won't be home until late again. Just do the usual, you know, fix yourself a little something, anything you want. Oh, and I left some money for you on the counter. Use it for whatever you like. Now, Dad won't be home until Tuesday. He says hi. Oh, and somebody told me you quit soccer. Is anything wrong? Well, just leave me a note. Love you. Bye.
Some resolutions do work. Not long ago, I decided to change the way I felt. Now, the difference between then and now is, oh, maybe 50 pounds, but really the difference is a sense of well-being, a sense of fitness. I was just really sedentary, as I imagine a lot of you are too, if you really be honest with yourself. And I just made a resolution to change myself.
And you did.
And I did.
Yeah, you did. And now, of course, Joan, as you know, you watch the show every day, fit, trim, active. And you know from seeing her that you can't keep her very still. That was the day we went down the Ocoee River in Tennessee. This is when we were ice climbing in Alaska.
Yep.
This is when we were bungee jumping.
Yeah. Yeah, you certainly can't keep her still. Proof positive she is that where there's a will, there's a way. And so for our special series, New Year, New You, our new Joan guides us to health and fitness.
And you, my dear, were much responsible for that, too, because, you know, it's interesting.
Played a small part.
Well, you know, I was recently doing a lot of the research because of the book that I'm coming out with in April, and I looked back. I actually physically went back, pulled out the New Year's Day shows for 10 years, and we looked at all of them. Every single year I said, I'm going to get in shape this year. Right. I'm going to lose weight. And he was like sitting there looking at me, yeah, right, we've been hearing you talk about this forever. And he's really the one that finally one day said, you know, I wish you'd just quit talking about it and do it.
Well, summer of 1988, right?
Yeah. Right. I was.
You were in a funk.
I was in a funk. And part of that is that you're not healthy, you're not fit feeling, you're sluggish, you're sedentary, you're unhappy because you know you shouldn't be this way. I mean, most of us know that we're not eating right, that we're eating too much, that we're making the wrong food choices, that we're not exercising. It's not that we don't know it, it's just that it's hard to make that initial step and get going.
But fair to say it was emotional, tough times that got you into this?
And I think that when you're kind of all askew, you know, you're everything going on in your body, that you have a tendency to be, I mean, on the light side, short-tempered and cranky, and overweight at the other side, which is depression. Remember, but depression also sometimes paralyzes you. Yeah. And it keeps you from getting started.
Do you remember some of those early chats we had back in the summer of '88? We had two big road trips that summer. We covered the Democratic and Republican conventions in Atlanta and New Orleans. And I think we were in Atlanta at the first one in '88.
And I remember going to the gym with you, which is like that's a big deal, you know, when you're not looking the way you want to look, just to put on clothes to go to a gym and be in front of a whole bunch of people keeps a lot of folks from going to the gym, and I hated that first day of exercise, and he said, fine.
I know you did.
If you don't like what you did, don't get discouraged, find another, let's do something different tomorrow.
But the critical thing is a lot of people think if you go to the gym for a week.
No, but that's not it. In fact, you know, I like to analogize exercise to any other kind of sport. Do you remember what it was like when you were first starting to learn to ski? How much fun is it when you're falling down every 3 minutes?
I'm still learning.
Okay. Or how about when you first try to learn to play tennis and you know, you're running all over, you're expending way more energy. You think this isn't fun
hitting the ball
because
over to the next court.
because you can't get a volley going. And exercise is exactly the same. And I look at exercise like a sport. When you're first starting out and you have no muscle memory, you have very little muscle control. Not to mention you're overweight, so it takes more energy to lift that leg or whatever. And it's hard. And if you can get through that period and look at it like a sport where you're going to say, I'm going to be really good at this.
Right. Now, from those awkward beginnings, when you weren't feeling so good about yourself and you were frustrated, how long did it take you to start to feel like you were in shape?
Well, it's interesting because, you know, we live in a world of instant gratification, and we want immediate results. And that's probably what stops a lot of people from continuing on, because they say after a week or a month or maybe 2 months, first of all, they aren't exercising properly and they're hurting themselves. They aren't stretching, they aren't doing cool down, so they hurt. And they say, I told you this would hurt, I hate it. And they also don't see as big a result instantly as they'd like to, and they get, you know, really unhappy and they fall off. My doctors said to me, because I really approach this, you know, with nutritionists and with doctors and experts, and they said, you took 10 years and 3 children, 3 births, you know, gaining 10, 15 pounds with each one to get to where you are. This is not going to happen in a month or 2 months. It took about 14 months.
All right, a couple of things. Number one, we're going to have in this New Year, New You series, you're going to work with a psychologist, with a nutritionist, and with three experts we're going to work with.
With a nutritionist and also with a person who's going to explain to you exactly what your body does, how you burn calories, and how you can make your body more efficient, because a lot of people were surprised in the first initial meetings that I said 80% of this is getting yourself psyched up and getting yourself to continue on this. The other 20% is about 15%, in my opinion, educating yourself, and it's only 5% actually doing it.
All right, but you said, number one, you consulted with doctors and nutritionists.
I did.
Is that available to the average person?
Absolutely. Everybody's got a gym in their neighborhood, and you can go to a gym and you can find yourself somebody there, and you have a physician. And if you go to that physician and say, I understand that I am 15, 20, 50 pounds overweight and that I am hurting myself physically. I learned on this very program, sitting right here, that I was a risk at diabetes. And there are a lot of people out there right now who can control their state of health. Forget the size. The size you are is a perk. You'll reduce the size you are, but what you will get is you will get your energy level back. You'll be in control of your energy level. That's the thing that bothered me the most. I was like bogged down by my own energy level, and I could only do as much in a given day as I could kind of tread water and keep up with. I now control my energy level. I can do as much as I want. And I also drastically changed my health risk. I am no longer a health risk for any of the things that I used to be at risk for. And that's, I mean, we only have one life and one body. You really have to do the best with it you can.
I don't eat like a breakfast, lunch, dinner. You know, I skip, and when I feel hungry, I binge.
I eat when I'm hungry, sometimes out of boredom.
My biggest problem is that I pick. I don't really measure what I eat, and if I like it, I'll pick more.
Sound familiar? Well, this morning, as part of our special series, New Year, New You, we are going to help you find an eating plan that's right for you, kind of a customized eating plan. And we get our advice from nutritionist Mindy Herman, who will help analyze what we call your eating personality. Hi, Mindy.
Hi, Joan.
This is so important for people to figure out. I think I was startled by my food log when I first started keeping it. What are the key questions people should be asking here? Give us an example of how you start to learn this.
Well, one of the primary questions you should ask yourself is about your breakfast habits. So you can ask yourself, my idea of breakfast is, and your answer might be that my idea of breakfast is coffee or nothing.
Well, okay.
Or you could say your idea of breakfast might be whatever I can grab at the deli. Or your idea might be a big meal.
And what do you call those three people?
Well, now if you have coffee or nothing, you're a meal skipper. You don't have breakfast. If you have whatever you can pick up at the deli, you're probably a meal grazer. You eat on the go.
Okay.
And
lots of those.
If you like a big meal, then you're a big eater. You're a member of the Clean Plate Club.
I have the Clean Plate Club. All right, let's go through this one at a time so that we can find out maybe some alternatives that these people can do. I guess we'll start with, this is obviously the meal skipper over here, a little cup of coffee, and I don't need to eat breakfast, right? Big mistake. Right?
It is a big mistake. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Want to explain why? What does it do to the body when it's like turning on the fire, right?
It turns on the fire, gets your engine going. It wakes up your metabolism. If you don't eat breakfast, your body goes slowly because it thinks it's being starved.
And when when she says go slowly, that means you're not burning calories. And I think that's probably one of the biggest mistakes women make. I'm going to diet, I'm not going to eat. And they're just not burning any calories.
And I love to look at food diaries from women who are meal skippers because you can tell, you know, no breakfast, no lunch, coffee, 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 big dinner. And for guys, it's the go home, you know, suck in whatever's in the refrigerator, eat a big dinner, and then sit and eat chips in front of the TV. It's this mega meal, too many calories.
And then they wonder why it's like this. Okay, and what could they do? Okay, here's the meal skipper. What should they be doing?
You know, if you're a meal skipper, you're saying to me, you know, there's no way I'm going to eat breakfast. But actually, we have some things here that are light and easy, good sources of calcium, because breakfast is a good time to get in calcium. So we have yogurt. If you want, you can throw some cereal in the yogurt for some crunch.
So you're getting your fiber and you're getting your calcium.
Fiber, calcium, piece of toast if you want.
Skim milk or at least low fat?
I don't like skim milk. I drink low fat.
Okay,
so low fat's fine.
So and that's probably one of the other secrets we should say here. If you don't like it, don't let someone tell you that that's what you should be eating. If you don't like it, you're never going to stick to it. You got to do
you have
trade-offs,
to pick the
right?
things that you like. And, you know, the surprising thing, this is about 400 calories.
That's all?
But you can actually wake up your appetite. So if you say, oh, I'm never hungry in the morning, well,
wake up your appetite or wake up your metabolism?
Wake up both, because you can start actually feeling hungry in the morning. Moving on, let's move on to this person who's the meal grazer.
Right? Okay,
now, this is a huge amount of food. The grazer doesn't eat it all at one time. The grazer will start out maybe with a banana and coffee in the morning, maybe a piece of leftover zucchini bread, stop at the deli on the way, get one of these gargantuan 600-calorie muffins, and then
600 calories in this one muffin as opposed to 400 in that whole
in the
thing.
whole breakfast.
Okay.
And then, you know, go for a second cup of coffee and pick at the Danish.
All right.
So this is...
How many calories are in his?
It can be 1,000 depending on the size of the muffin,
and
which is almost as much as a woman needs for the whole day.
And you've done 1,000.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So this would be a better breakfast. It's a little more reasonable. It still allows the grazer to graze, but the grazer needs to be a little more scheduled. Eat at least 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, because, I mean, how many times do you graze on spinach? You know, I can't say I go
They also just have to be conscious of how much they're putting in their mouth, right?
Right, and just start thinking. The grazer loses track.
Oh,
this is the big eater. Now,
all
all of us know someone who eats like this.
Okay.
And this is, you know, the standard scrambled eggs, hash browns, bacon, juice, and 3 pieces of toast.
But this is a really I like the way you've cut down. You've taken it from out of the scrambled eggs with all the butter and the cheese and all that, and you've done, you know, like
something more moderate, because the big eater eats too much food, too much fat.
Okay, so
this
poached eggs over a piece of wheat toast would still make them feel like they're eating a whole breakfast, and just a little bit less of the really fatty foods.
Exactly. And juice, of course, and some dairy if you feel like it.
Okay. If you don't fit into any of these categories, what do you do?
Well, you learn from each of them. You're probably a blend of all of them. The most important thing is to learn how and what you eat, because that's the first step to knowing your personality.
All right. And on that note, it is so crucial to keep a fitness log. And a food diary is a very, very important part of establishing that log. A food diary is an essential part of a fitness log in order to understand your diet. Now record the what, when, and where you eat, and the key here, how you felt while you were eating. For instance, you had a donut for breakfast with a cup of coffee, and later a tuna sandwich and soda, and then you had takeout Chinese food for dinner. Make sure to estimate how much you had, half a bagel or half a sandwich. No need to put everything in ounces or cups. When dealing with how you felt when you were eating, were you really hungry or just agitated and anxious? Were you full afterward or still hungry? When dealing with where you were eating, was it sitting down in front of the TV or snacking in front of an open refrigerator door? Bottom line for the next week, if it goes in your mouth, it goes in the notebook. All right, and as we are going to have every day, we will have an action point. The action point for today, drink 8 glasses of water, and the experts say it should be 8 ounces of water, right? And this is really, really essential. Now, you can substitute a little bit of fruit juice, but not all the time, because that's filled with sugar and calories, right? But try not to substitute soda or drinks with caffeine in it. Like if you can make these decaffeinated coffees, it would be great. And tomorrow on Good Morning America, now that you know what your eating personality is, hopefully you'll start that log and you'll start to figure it out. Then we will help you figure out what your fitness personality is. As we continue our special health and fitness series, A New Year, A New You, is that deprivation is really a word of the past, and moderation should be the watchword in 1996. So with that in mind, we asked our good friend Wolfgang Puck what he eats when he wants something light and healthy, and he's here to show us his recipe for ravioli, 2 different fillings, and this dish does fall within the recommended eating guidelines of 30% of calories from fat.
Yeah,
good to have you here.
Thank you.
I love raviolis.
And for healthy New Year's, you know, certain things in moderation are good. Certain things more is more.
All right.
I don't want to get into that, though.
Okay. All right. we start with
we are making vegetable raviolis. Raviolis with vegetable filling. We have eggplants and spinach, and it's really healthy because we cook everything basically with no fat except the sauce. We add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So it's really easy. You see, I make the pasta
How did you do this?
It's really easy to make the pasta dough. You mix flours with a little eggs and some olive oil, a little salt, and if you don't want to use eggs, you can also use water, so it makes you a little drier pasta.
Did you make that in the food processor?
Yeah, I make it in the food processor, so it's really easy. You can see it right here.
So you just put all those ingredients in
and let
them
together and knead them together really well. Let it rest a little bit, and with a little roller like that, you roll it out, or you can also use...
All right, so they can see it right there. It's all being blended together. Take it out, knead it.
Absolutely.
Let it rest.
You let it rest, and then you roll it with the machine
roll it,
like
roll
that.
It, okay.
A little at a time. Then we make the farce to stuff the raviolis.
Do you then put it into ice water? Is that how you
water,
keep
so
it
that way you keep it nice and green. Very
okay.
good. See, you know everything. I don't have to come here anymore.
I've been learning from you. I've been listening, see?
All right, see. Very
what are you
good
putting
study.
in?
This is no-fat ricotta cheese.
Oh, okay.
So it's really very good and has no fat at all. If you want a little touch of nutmeg.
Oh, that's what you do. You add all these little interesting
flavors. A little touch
flavors.
of salt. We don't want to add too much salt also.
But that's why we don't mind the fat being gone, because he adds all these other flavors.
When you cook with low fat, you have to add more spices, vinegars and things like that. Okay,
so
you stir that really
spinach.
well.
Here, I'll do that for you.
And here we have the eggplants.
But you start, this is an interesting thing. Most people would saute.
Most people saute them with a lot of olive oil in it. And here we wrap them in aluminum foil, and then we cook them for about half an hour. And then
in the oven, you roasted them.
And you peel it off like that.
And by doing this, first of all, you get a more intense flavor, right?
You get a better flavor.
Because the sugars do whatever they do.
And also, I think you add no fat to it.
And you add no fat.
So you have the pure flavor of your eggplants.
And it peels really easy, as you can see.
So it's really easy to peel. Chop it up with a little knife like that.
All right, so see,
and
here's got it chopped up.
You want to add flavor also to it.
So now what flavors are you going to add?
Parsley here. We have a little chili flakes if you like it a little spicy.
Ooh, okay.
I like it extra spicy.
What's that?
Cumin.
Oh, a little cumin, okay.
Goes very well with eggplant. Garlic.
Go right on the garlic.
Yeah. I live close to Gilroy, so I think...
I know.
In California,
you
we have
smell
a lot
the
of
garlic driving through Gilroy.
All right, yeah.
All right.
Okay, mix it well, and we made a little tomato sauce, so you can add a little bit of that.
And we'll explain the tomato sauce to you in just a second.
All right.
So then you're going to come over here.
And we're going to stuff our raviolis now. Here I have the pasta. We wash it with a little egg wash.
Okay.
So that way they stick together really well.
Am I going to do this? Am I going to put a little dabble-do-you here?
Use a little spoon if you have one here. And
all right.
All you have to do is put little mounds on here like that.
And then what do you cut this with?
We have a little ravioli cutter or a cookie cutter, whatever you really like.
And you can get this at any of those kitchen stores.
Yeah. Or you can just use a regular cookie cutter, which is easy too. Another sheet on top. Okay, and you form them nicely around your pasta.
All right, and here's your
and here with that.
Cutter. Now, he's already done a bunch of them. You've got them in several different stages here for you to see. See?
Oh, I broke one.
Ah!
A bad one.
I'm so glad to see that happens to you, too.
No, when the pasta sits a long time outside, then it gets dried out a little bit. Okay.
So, see, these are all, and he's got them there. I noticed that he's putting it on a floured sheet of wax paper there. That's so they don't stick, right?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Now, while you're doing that, and you're eventually going to be cooking those in the water over here, just tell me what's in this sauce.
Okay, the tomato sauce.
What'd you start with the fresh tomato?
A little bit of olive oil. No, I started with onions, garlic, a little thyme, a little chili flakes.
Okay.
Then I added a little bit of balsamic vinegar.
Oh.
And the tomatoes, and cooked it really. If you need a little stock, you can add a little stock. But the balsamic vinegar gives it a lot of flavor. And then all you have to do is saute the ravioli in a little sauce here. Or you put it in here.
I think I'm getting the two different kinds. I want to...
Okay. You can throw them in here if you want to.
Oh, you're going to put the whole thing right in there? Okay.
All right.
You're usually the kind that puts the sauce on the plate and puts the things on top. I learned that trick from you, too.
I see. All right, and now you have nice raviolis. Put them on the plate.
I got to say which is which here. This is the spinach, I do believe.
Uh-huh. And here we have the eggplant. And if you like basil, I have a little basil next to you over there. You can put a little bit of that over it. See, it's very healthy, but also it's very tasty, so it's not like some of the foods would have no flavor.
That's absolutely delicious and still low in fat. You don't have to have the fat to make it taste good.
You don't have to make the fat. You use spices, a little vinegar, and it's tasty.
Yum! You're going to want this recipe. It'll be in the newsletter. We all really know, don't we, that we should exercise. But let's face it, so many people don't. And why? Well, maybe because we are expecting our bodies to do something that kind of goes against our individual fitness personalities. So this morning, that is our topic for our special series, New Year, New You. And we are going to show you how to find your fitness profile. And that way, you can customize a plan that you'll really live with and that you'll really do. Joining us this morning, Dr. James Rippey, Director of the Center for Clinical and Lifestyle Research at Tufts University. Good to have you back with us.
Good to be here, John.
Now, you've devised a little bit of a quiz so that people can start to understand where they are in this game.
That's exactly right.
What questions do we ask?
Well, we're going to have a little fun with this, but the answers are very important. So we're going to ask people to answer 2 questions.
All right.
And the first has to do with what we do on a Sunday afternoon. Now, ask yourself on a Sunday afternoon, what would you prefer to do? Would you like to just sit and watch television? Would you do some light gardening, of course not this time of year, or take a stroll? Or would you go out and do a vigorous workout, A, B, or C? That's question number 1. Now, question number 2 puts you in a hypothetical situation at an airport with a long walkways at an airport.
Okay.
And it asks you, do you fake an injury so
And
that
you want
get
one
to
of
ride
those
the
little
cart?
things that go beep,
You get-
beep, beep,
so you get
beep.
to ride the cart.
Okay.
B, you know, the moving sidewalks. Do you take the moving sidewalks when they're available, but walk between them?
Okay.
Or do you stride vigorously along the side of the vigorous walkway, looking smugly at the people who are on the,
All right.
on the moving sidewalk?
People probably know pretty well how they answer those questions. What do they mean?
Well, if you answered A to both of them, you're a couch
Potato, I knew that
You
one.
avoid exercise.
And what about B?
If you answered B, you have some interest in exercise. You're a dabbler. You can do better, but you're at least started on the right track.
Okay. You have good intentions.
You have good intentions.
And C?
If you're C, then you're an exercise enthusiast. That means you actively look for opportunities to be more physically active.
All right. Let's start with the couch potato. What do we want the couch potato to do?
Well, the couch potato really is in a position to get more benefit out of it than anybody else.
Because they're doing nothing.
They're doing nothing. We want that couch potato to get off the couch and start walking. So we're going to illustrate it with a treadmill. Now,
Now, you don't need to have a treadmill, though. You have a sidewalk probably out in front of your house or a road, and you can walk anywhere.
That's exactly right. We're going to ask the couch potato just to make the commitment to get off that couch and start walking. Now, we've programmed the treadmill to go at 3 miles an hour, which is a kind of an average walking speed. For some people, it's going to be even less than this. And what we're going to ask the couch potato today, as a commitment today, is we're going to ask that couch potato to get out and over the course of the day find 10 minutes to walk. And you can see this is a pretty comfortable pace. Now,
But people should realize, because I remember when I first started, I think I was probably in the couch potato category when I first started,
Yeah.
believe it or not. Even 3 miles an hour for 15 minutes can seem kind of exhausting in the beginning, and don't give up, because that's not unrealistic,
That's
right?
absolutely. So just get started on it, and we're going to ask that person to move up a minute a week. So
Okay.
in 2 weeks, we want them at 12 minutes. In 4 weeks, we want them at
16?
a total
12,
of 14 minutes. So
Okay.
to recap, 10 minutes today, 12 minutes in 2 weeks, and 14 minutes in a month.
That's not too hard, okay? I mean, the President of the United States finds time to exercise every day.
Absolutely.
So, all right, let's go on over here, because now we have the dabbler. The dabbler might be doing a little bit, but they're just not really approaching it that serious.
The dabbler is doing some, but they're not doing enough. And so we're going to illustrate how easy it is for that dabbler to get started. And we're basically just going to say, even though I'm on a stair stepper, the key is not that I'm on a stair stepper, and not that I'm going this fast. The key for the dabbler is you have lots of opportunities in your life taking the stairs. We're illustrating stair steppers came from the concept of taking the stairs.
Yeah, you could actually just walk up if you work in a building with 15 floors. You can do it there. You don't have to have one of these in your house or go to a gym.
Look for the nooks and crannies in your life to be more physically active. Our goal for the dabbler: find 15 minutes in the nooks and crannies of your life today and be more physically active. We want that person to add 2 more minutes a day by the end of 2 weeks. And, 4 more minutes.
So then again, a small gain. Take small steps. Part of that also is to get small goals so that you can realize them and not fail at them, right?
Right. In 2 weeks, we want that person at 19 minutes, looking for the nooks and crannies. In 4 weeks, we want them at 23 minutes. They'll be well on their way to 30 minutes on most days, which is what most people recommend for good health.
Yeah, which is what we'd like you to work up to. Now, for all of you who are exercise enthusiasts, we even have a suggestion for you.
Yeah. Now, that may seem paradoxical that we're going to sit down when we talk about the exercise enthusiast, but we have a point to make here, and the point comes out of Olympic athletes. The person who is an exercise enthusiast is by and large looking for stress reduction in their life as well as physical activity. And we're going to ask that person to increase their mental part of their workout. So
the old mind-body connection.
That's exactly right.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that you can use exercise to reduce stress.
Absolutely. And so for the person who's the committed person, we're going to have them kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And so for that person, we're going to ask them right now, today, to take 10 seconds before their workout and just visualize themselves being an aerobic animal, or in some way visualize themselves as part of that workout to engage their mind in it. So that's today's challenge for the committed exerciser. Use the mind-body technique of visualizing yourself or paying attention to your breathing. And in 2 weeks, we're going to ask that person to do the same thing at the end of their workout, except we're going to ask them to take a mental inventory and ask themselves, how do I feel at the end of that workout? And what you're going to find is that at the end of the month, you're doing that all the time, and you're having much more refreshment and much more relaxation out of your workout. So that's the goal at the end of the month.
A couple things come to mind. First of all, our object here is we're trying to move each person up into the next category, right?
That's exactly right.
All right. Second of all, people fall off. And then they beat themselves up and they think they're a total failure. What do we want to say to those people?
Well, I think we want to say that small steps are important.
Yes.
This is a race that is won by the tortoise and not the hare. And so don't get down on yourself. We want everyone to move that needle up just a little bit. We want the couch potato to become a dabbler. We want the dabbler to become a committed enthusiast. An enthusiast, we want to get more stress reduction.
And just remember at home that if you're not doing anything and all of a sudden you start doing 10 or 15 minutes, that's 10 or 15 minutes more than you were doing before, so you should consider that a success and not that, oh, I'm not doing an hour workout, right?
Absolutely right. It's a mindset of saying, I'm going to succeed, and this is a lifelong commitment. I'm going to take slow steps to get there.
And does it make a difference? I mean, do you get a different result out of exercise depending on your age?
It doesn't really matter. At any level of age, you can get benefits from it. Of course, if you're older, you're going to have to start out slower. You might want to get your doctor's advice, but you have as much to gain as a younger person as long as you commit to it on a regular basis.
All right. Our action point then for the day
is a stretch. No matter what your fitness profile, you can start with a stretch, and it's very important.
And you have to always start with stretches and end with stretches.
This is just a very easy one. We're going to do it on a table. People at home can do it at a wall. It's a standing calf stretch. And then if you lean further forward, you can turn it into a hamstring and
right
low
up
back.
your leg, right?
And if you have a wall, you can actually put your hands above it and turn it into an upper back and shoulder stretch. So it's something that we would encourage everybody to do before and after their exercise.
Absolutely. I stretch every morning before the show. I just find that it makes your blood circulate better, and I think it actually gives you a better focus in your mind.
Stretching is a great time to do mind-body things too, to think about what you're about to accomplish.
All right. This is the start. We're going to get more into this, but first of all, you got to realize where you are. So I think you probably all heard where you were this morning, and we'll get you on the road to better health. Americans love, 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 love junk food: cookies, chips, ice cream, candy. And for many people, these are the four basic food groups, and that's a problem. Well, it may surprise you to learn that you can still indulge your passion for junk food and cut some fat and calories at the same time. This morning in our month-long series, The New Year, A New You, Mindy Herman, a registered dietitian, is here with some smart swaps that you can do that will really add up to fewer pounds.
Hi, Joan. Good to see you again.
I guess if you were going to divide it into two categories, it would be those who love sweets and those who love the salty things like the chips and stuff. I'm in the salty category. So let's start with that.
Okay. Well, here we have tortilla chips, you know, ever a favorite. And
oh, yes, I know.
We have regular tortilla chips, 10 of them. These are fried in oil. And we have a mere quarter cup of guacamole. Now, nobody eats that little. But this little snack adds up to 240 calories, 15 grams of fat. Now, over here, look how many more chips you can have.
That's at least twice as much, maybe three times as much. 3 times as much. Okay, oops, here we go. Here are your... Okay.
Those are the differences: 170 calories and 2 grams of fat for the baked tortilla chip with 1 cup of salsa, which is also packed with vegetables.
All right, so you can have a whole lot more, and you're significantly cutting down here. All right, we'll move on.
Big difference.
Peanuts. How many of you like just like mouthfuls, right? Mouthfuls of peanuts?
Yeah, and this is a half a cup of peanuts, which is about 2 handfuls. 430 calories, 36 grams of fat. Joan, that is over half.
That's an amazing amount.
It's over half of your allotment for the whole day.
For the whole day, okay.
Over here we have peanut butter candies. You can still indulge, get great peanut flavor.
Wow, look at that difference. So in other words, these like little chocolate-covered...
These are actually peanut butter covered in candy. You still get the peanut flavor, less than half the calories, and only about a quarter of the fat, which is amazing.
Now, see, I imagine a lot of people would say, hey, I'll make that swap because those are good too. Ice cream. A lot of people, you know, at night, they hit this ice cream at night.
I love ice cream.
You love ice cream? All right, so then what's the swap then?
Well, this is super premium, designer, creamy ice cream. A cup. Most of us don't eat half a cup. 500 calories. 32 grams of fat.
32 grams of fat, just in that much right there?
In a cup of super premium ice cream.
All right, so we definitely need a swap.
Switch over to sorbet. This is raspberry sorbet, good, strong flavored
And you know,
sorbet.
this is still creamy, so you still get that creamy texture, and that's a big part of what's satisfying you, right?
And you get a good flavor, half the calories, 0 fat. So you've saved over 2 tablespoons of fat.
That's pretty darn good, and you got to stay with the same texture, because otherwise you're going to...
Right.
If you try to find something completely different, then you're going to end up messing up later. later. All right, chocolate.
Chocolate.
The big
Now,
one for
I
a lot
also
of
love
people.
chocolate. It's ice cream and chocolate. Now, this is a standard garden variety candy bar.
Okay.
You're hungry, 3 o'clock slump, you go to the vending machine, grab a candy bar, 280 calories, a tablespoon of fat, 13 grams of fat. Now, these are chocolate chips. These are my personal favorite. I eat them every morning. And it's the same calories and fat, but if you eat these 2 by 2, 120 chocolate chips, so it'll take you much longer to enjoy the chocolate flavor. Here we have chocolate-covered raisins, 40 of them, 165 calories, and 6 grams of fat.
Oh boy, so you can really cut down, and you're not going to yucky choices. You're going to good choices.
Right, you're just
Still
eating a little more
satisfying.
smartly. Absolutely.
All right, 3 things that we can do. Let's just talk about 3 swaps that we can all make, and just remember these, and you can significantly cut the fat out.
The first is, if you, instead of using butter or olive oil, you go with a no-stick spray, for every teaspoon that you don't use, you save 40 calories, and over the course of the year...
This is in a year?
That's a year. 4 pounds of... This happens to be lard, which is kind of gross.
Yeah, but this is kind of what you're wearing on your body if you eat all that, right?
So that's 4 pounds lost if you give up that 1 teaspoon of butter or oil.
So spray a little of the no stick on instead of that. Okay, second swap.
Now, all of you guys out there, this looks like a normal portion of meat.
All right.
But actually, the recommendation is that you eat a portion that's about
half what a serving
size,
is.
which is about the size of a deck of cards.
Oh, okay.
And
that's
what
a
you
good way to
save,
remember it. People need visuals.
Deck of cards or palm of your hand. You save 150 calories at least 10 grams of fat, and over the course of the year, you could lose maybe 16 pounds of weight if you make that simple change.
So whoever the homemaker is in the house, serve a smaller portion of meat and maybe make some extra vegetables and some extra interesting things, and so that people will feel like they've eaten.
Exactly, and fill it in. Now, the last one, if you drink regular sugar-sweetened cola or soda, swap 1 can of that for water.
So that's all you're saying? You're just saying if you drink 3 or 4 of these a day, just swap 1.
And you will save 7 teaspoons of sugar per can, and
over
the course of the year, not 5, not 10, not 20, but 28 pounds of sugar over 1 year just by getting rid of 1 can of soda.
Check it out. 1 can of soda a day, and this is how much you can save. That's pretty amazing. All right, every day we end this spot with an action point. What's the action point for the day?
The action point for today is remember the 4 T's. The first is think. Think about what you're eating.
Okay.
Don't eat impulsively. Stop and think. The second is...
Take time. And see, that's something you have to really slow down, right?
Right. Taste your food is the 3rd T. Just take your time and really get to know those flavors. And then the last point is trade-off. Make trade-offs. And trade for some higher fat and higher calorie foods for lower fat, lower
That's interesting, because you can't go from total indulgence to total deprivation.
And you shouldn't.
And you shouldn't, because otherwise you're going to be unhappy, and you're never going to stick with it, and you're going to cheat, and then you feel guilty, and then you're going to punish yourself, and you're going to eat, right?
We all know that well.
Why do I know that vicious cycle so well, huh? All right, thank you, Mindy.
Thank you.
Now, do you know what the #1 reason is that people don't exercise? They say it is because they have no time, or at least they think they have no time. So tomorrow in our series, New Year, New You, we will see how to fit fitness into a very busy life. All right, one of the toughest things about starting a fitness plan is keeping a fitness plan, especially when you're on the road or just on the go all the time. And this morning we are going to continue our special series, New Year, New You, with some tips on how to stay fit no matter where you are, no matter how little time you have. And joining us again today is fitness specialist Pat Menachia to show us some great exercises for the road. But we do know one person who really has done a lot to keep a fitness schedule while he is on the go, and boy is he on the go. It is our own correspondent Bill Ritter, a man who last year managed to get 300,000 miles under his belt without having to loosen that belt one bit.
Okay, so you have a good workout routine at home, but then you go on the road, on and off planes, in and out of hotel rooms, chowing down fast food. It's easy for it all to fall apart, but it's just as easy to keep it together.
People who have problems with their fitness programs on the road do not falter on some cosmic issue. They falter because of lack of planning, lack of preparation, lack of attention to detail. They haven't got the mindset that says, I'm going to maintain my fitness program on the road.
Hotels are paying more attention to keeping guests healthy. Many have added high-tech gyms, and at the better hotels, like New York's Waldorf Astoria, they'll actually design a personalized workout you can take with you.
Great, last 10. Go for 10.
There's even a company that will dispatch a personal trainer to your room at any hotel in the world.
9,
But what do you do if you're stuck in a hotel that doesn't have a gym and you have just a few minutes to work out?
And what we're going to do is we're going to make up a fitness program that just utilizes the space and the things that we find in your hotel room. Every hotel room has a chair.
And what is this for?
This is for our quadricep stretches. Simply use the chair to stand and balance yourself. So we're going to then turn our high-tech bench around, and we're going to stretch out our hamstring muscles, the big muscles on the back of the leg. Once again, very important muscles for any kind of aerobic exercise, but particularly walking and jogging. And we're going to just do a calf stretch, standing calf stretch, pressing in toward the wall. So we've done a lot for the lower, for the legs, and now we're going to do a little for the upper body. All right. We're just going to use this as resistance so that we can...
And so you pull back with your other arm?
Yeah, you pull back with your other arm. It stretches all the muscles, the upper body, on the bed.
Instead of a weight, use
Instead of a weight. You see this in the gym with weights, but now we're going to do it with our briefcase. 3, 4. A terrific exercise. And now we're going to move right on to the next one, the briefcase bicep curl.
All right.
Again, just using the natural thing that you have, your briefcase, to exercise your biceps, just like you would see somebody do in a health club. You grab just 2 books that you found in the hotel room. Now, these are not very heavy weights, but you're just going to swing them back and forth, and it gets you a good workout for the side of the pectoral muscles, the big muscles in the chest. Just another way to love New York, right, Bill? And it takes almost no room to get an aerobic workout in a hotel room. You know, just warm up by walking in place. And if you really want to add some upper body stuff to it, you can do jumping jacks. Just really simple stuff.
And 1. Many airlines are also getting into the act by promoting good fitness on their planes. And you can do these exercises in any seat, even in your office.
Do neck rolls. Start going counterclockwise. A lot of people forget that we spend more waking hours in our office than we do in our home. Here's a good one for the big muscles of the chest. Just push in really hard. And then to alternate it, use slightly different muscles of the arms, pull out.
The old isometrics.
Yeah, just very, very simple stuff. There's no reason why travel has to turn your fitness program into a statistic. Travel can be something that you can overcome as long as you have the mindset that says, I can be fit on the road.
All right, and joining us now to show us some more exercises that we can do on the road, or even in your home or your office for that matter, is Pat Menachia. He is the owner of La Palestra Center for Preventative Medicine, and I take this with me everywhere I go because I can pack it.
Absolutely.
And I have a band, you have a cord, either way you go. Now, what are they? Why are they good?
There are 3 reasons that these things are good. 1, clearly, as you said, is that you can literally fit them in your pocket, right? And I use these whenever I go on the road, wherever it is, even if I'm going home to see my mom for the weekend. 2 is that they're safe, and I'll show you exactly why they're safe. I'll show you an exercise here, John. Why don't you step on the band? Okay. So what we're going to do is a modified squat, basically.
Oh, and I love those squats.
Right. So wrap the band.
Okay.
Now, when you get into the bottom of the movement, there's not so much tension on the muscle.
Okay.
As you stand,
then
pull
you
your
feel
shoulders
it.
up and back. Right. The tension increases through the range of motion, and as you let it back down, it decreases. That's why these are used for physical therapy and rehabilitation all the time.
All right.
And 4, the other thing that's good about them is that there's an unlimited exercise variety.
Yeah.
Any exercise that you do with free weights, you can do with this cord.
All right, because what we're about to do, we do all the time with free weights.
Exactly. So
this is a bicep curl, right?
Exactly. You keep your elbows by your sides, simply squeeze your biceps and bring them up to the top.
But I got to tell you, I mean, this is giving me the same effect as having 2 free weights in my hand.
Exactly. Well, in fact, it's a little bit safer because you can only pull as far as the cord will let you go.
That's
you really can't use any momentum.
You can't throw the thing up there.
Right. It'll
you just
stop.
can't.
And the other exercise, something you might be able to do, one hand, get a little tension, so you'd wrap it once or twice.
Oh, I know what this one is.
Bring your shoulder straight out to the side.
Another one that we do with weights when we're in the gym.
Exactly.
But here, you can do it anywhere.
Right, so you don't have to carry a set of 10-pound dumbbells in your suitcase.
All right, so you see there is no excuse not to exercise no matter where you are, no matter where you're going. And Pat has shown us that. And so our action point today is not only to find something like this that you can throw into the suitcase, but also, why don't you try walking up a flight of stairs? Climb 5 flights of stairs. And that would be your action point, whether you're at home or in an office building. There's no reason why you can't use things right around you in order to get healthy. You can consider this just a few steps up to good health, right?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll be right back.
Now, we're going to show you how your computer can help you burn any extra calories off. Good Morning America's computer editor, Gina Smith, shows us how a hard drive can help you get a hard body. You're not going to tell me that punching those little keys is going to burn off calories.
Well, good morning, Charlie. I know it does sound contradictory because you have the image of this mouse potato just kind of sitting there and spreading in front of the computer, not going out and doing anything. we went out and looked for lots of software and online services that maybe could help you stick with a fitness plan. And let's take a look at it. Software like this, called Lifeform, lets you plan and track how well you're doing with your fitness program. You can monitor your food intake, your exercise progress, even your body measurements. Let's look at how it can track your exercise program. I went on the Stairmaster for about 25 minutes this morning, got a heart rate of around 170, and went for about a mile. Now I just hit the Enter key on the keyboard to find out how many calories I burned. You can also view a chart that shows your progress. Lifeform also lets you quickly calculate the calories and the nutritional content of the food you eat. I had an English muffin for breakfast this morning, and it was a pretty good-sized one, too. I hit Enter again, and now I can see the calories, the fat, and the protein in the diet. Looks like I'm off to a pretty decent start. Speaking of eating well, you know, having a diet buddy really makes staying on a diet a lot easier. And if you're having trouble finding that diet buddy, you can always try an online service. HealthZone on America Online is very simple to find. Just type HealthZone, let's click on Buddies, and you can find many other people who want a fitness pal to chat with. HealthZone also offers up-to-the-minute health news and even lots of nutritious family menus and recipe ideas. And if you like surfing the World Wide Web, Columbia University gives you access to its wellness program, even if you're not a student there. You can ask the physicians from the university specific questions, like, are avocados fattening? That's something I always wanted to know. All questions are confidential, and the answers are posted regularly.
Well, you're telling me that it's not the typing then that's going to run off the calories.
It's not the typing.
It's the programs
Exactly.
that are going to work. And the thing that discourages me is an English muffin is 201 calories. That's an oof.
You'd never guess
as
that.
I watch that. That Lifeform thing, how much does that cost?
That costs $49. The product is called Lifeform. It's from a company called Fitness Soft. And the good thing is it doesn't just come on CD. It'll even work the old floppy disk way.
Joan's been talking about the fact that fitness buddies are helpful in keeping you on your program. But wouldn't it be easier if somebody is there working out with me as opposed to simply talking to them on the online service?
Well, this is it. I mean, you can't underestimate the power of just encouragement. And when you're online, one thing there's no lack of is people to talk to. I mean, that's what online is all about, is that sort of community and socializing. So if you're online, even if it's America Online or Prodigy or CompuServe or even the internet, there's a good bet you'll find something.
When you went into that thing, did you find lots of people who were looking for someone to chat about this kind of thing?
You wouldn't believe it. Hundreds of people just looking for somebody else who has the same problem that they have, or at least the same thing that they're working on. HealthZone was the first thing we showed, by the way, which is America Online, and you just type in the keyword HealthZone, and you'll find it. It's really neat.
All right, shameful plug. There is a Good Morning America page on America Online, and we're running all the parts of this New Year, New You series on that.
Sure, you guys are doing daily updates on what's going on with the series, and this is what it looks like when you hit the keyword GMA. This is the GMA area. Click on New Year, New You, and there we go. You can even click on Fitness to find a fitness buddy.
There's London's picture.
There she is. Where are you?
She's a co-host in there, Holly. Right?
I don't know
Why aren't
where
you
you
on
are.
there, too? We all ought to be in there. I would mention, because I tried to keep up with Michael's calculation there on all the numbers.
I was in the back.
And I got lost on that formula, but that kind of thing will be on the New Year, New You page?
Sure, and even the internet address that we showed you in the piece, that'll also be here. So
all right,
if you want to
but you can find Michael's formula today.
Find Michael's formula, the BRI, virtually anything you've done in this whole series, right here on the GMA Health site.
All right, Gina, thanks very much.
Thank you, Charlie.
Apologize for the shameless plug, but it's good information out there. Sometimes we go a little too fast on the air, even for ourselves. But everybody asks themselves the question, how many calories can I take in each day and not gain weight? So we tried to answer that yesterday. Our science editor, Michael Gillen, was here, showed us how to calculate our personal metabolic rates. Well, the phones rang off the hook. I was over on the other end of the studio. I couldn't compute it. And so we've decided some things bear repeating. We're going to review that equation and then stick around because we're going to bring on our fitness specialist, Pat Manacchia, and he's going to take you to the next level and show you 5 very simple, very easy exercises that can help boost your metabolism and burn off some calories.
All right, so this is the formula that can help you tailor any fitness plan to suit your body. Now, I should just say the metabolic rate, remember, is the rate at which you burn calories. Now, this is how you figure it out. Don't try to do the math right now. Just get a pen and a piece of paper. You're going to want to write down the basic formula. Do the math later. There are different numbers for men and women, so I'm going to start for the women. We're going to use an average woman. We'll call her Jane Doe. First, take your weight in pounds. Let's say Jane weighs 140 pounds. Obviously, you'll substitute your own weight here. Now multiply this by 4.3, and you'll get a number that we're going to call X. Now
don't do it now.
Don't do it now.
Multiply your weight
okay.
times 4.3. Okay.
Now, for Jane, that number would be 602. Now, the next thing you're going to do is take your height in inches. Jane's 5'4", which is 64 inches. And remember, you'll fill in your own height here. Multiply it by 4.3, and you'll get the number that we're going to refer to as Y. The number Y for Jane happens to be 275.2. Now, you add X plus Y, and for women, you also add 655, okay?
That
now,
number doesn't change. That's the same
never
for
changes.
everybody.
It's for everybody. And you're going to come up with Z. We'll call the next number Z. Now, that's Jane's total, which is like 1,532.2. Right. Set that number aside. You're going to need it in a minute, okay? Now, take your age. Fill in your own age. We're going to say Jane's 35. You multiply that by 4.7 and get the number, we'll call it Q. Now, Jane's number is 164.5. Take that number and set it aside with the number you have a minute ago. Are you following? Jane's Q number was 1,532.2. Subtract it from the first number we set aside. Remember that one? Okay, you're subtracting the second number from the first number you set aside. What we get finally, and the Q number, by the way, for Jane again was 164.5. So this is the number. This is the final number that you've been waiting for, which actually is your resting metabolic rate.
All right, and that represents the number of calories.
Resting, before you get up and walk around every day, okay? So that number is 1,367.7.
So she never got out of bed all day long.
Okay, and that's...
Never moved.
And if you look at that number, that's the number of calories.
That she could take in without gaining weight.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Now, what we're going to do next, though, is for men, okay? Because it's the same basic formula. There's just a couple of number changes. So don't try to do the math. Just write this down. We're going to call this guy John Doe.
Please.
Whatever. Okay, we'll call him John Doe. Take your weight in pounds. John weighs 180 pounds. Multiply that by 6.2.
Different multiplier.
Okay, it's a different multiplier. You're going to get a number. In John's case, that number is 1,116.
Okay.
Next, just like we did before, take your height in inches. John's 5'9". That's 69 inches. Multiply that by 12.7. For John, that totals 876.3.
Again, a different multiplier.
Add the two together. You add X and Y. And this time, you guys are only going to add 65. Don't add that big number like the women. Only add 65. And when those things are added together, you're going to, for John, come up with 2,057.3.
Okay.
Again, set that aside. You're going to need that number in just a minute.
Okay.
Now take your age in years. Let's say John's 40, okay? Multiply it by 6.8. Now for John, that's going to come out to 272. Now, subtract that number from the number you set aside before. Got that? From the first one we set aside.
Right.
That answer is your resting metabolic rate. And for John, that happens to be 1,785.3. That's how many calories he can eat each day before he ever moves around. Now, we're almost there. For these numbers to be meaningful, you have to factor in your activity level. And the scale goes from 1.2, for your like serious couch potato, to 1.8, which is for a professional athlete. Choose the number that best describes you. Let's say most people are going to be around 1.4. You multiply it by the resting metabolic rate that you just calculated. So whatever that number you came up with, you're going to multiply it by 1.3, 1.4, whatever you think you are. And in a minute, I'll show you what that means for John and Jane Doe. But for Jane, it comes out to, I think it was 1,914.
It's on the screen.
Okay, 14.7. For John, it comes out to 2,499.42, which means he can eat a lot more calories in a day and not lose weight. That's really what we're talking about
All right,
here.
so he can take in 2,500 calories. With the math for that guy, he can take in 2,500 calories, exercising a normal amount, and he'll stay the same way.
You'll maintain it. These are the number of calories that you burn on an average day, the number of calories you need to eat to maintain the current weight. So if you take in more than that number, you're probably going to gain weight. And if you take in less than that number, you're probably going to lose weight. And just remember that even a small reduction really adds up. If you cut out, say, 100 calories a day, you can lose about 10 pounds over the course of a year. I mean, that's really great.
But of course, the bottom line question is, how do you know how many calories that you're taking in during the day?
All right. That's why last week, when we started this series, we told everyone to keep a record of what they eat. That's part of your fitness log. Remember we told you that? So using that and one of these little calorie books, you can get a little calorie book at any bookstore, and you can calculate the number of calories you eat on any given day. So pick up one of these little books in any bookstore. Another way to get the calorie information, remember, it's right on the label of almost every prepared food you buy in the store. So you can compare the number of calories that you're eating to that number that you just figured out, the number of calories you're actually burning. So we all know that if you take in more calories than you burn, you're going to gain weight.
All right, so you've figured out the metabolic rate. Now, are you stuck with that number forever? I mean, is that the number of calories? No more?
Whoa, that's a $64,000 question, isn't it?
Well, pay me.
All right, yes. As Michael Gillen told us yesterday, you can increase that metabolic rate, the rate at which you burn calories. And you do that by increasing your muscle mass. That's why guys burn more calories than us. They have more muscle than women. This means you have to increase weight-bearing exercise. Remember that muscle burns calories much more efficiently than fat does. So in a minute, we're going to show you how to build up, not bulk up. Women are so worried about bulking up. You don't. You build some muscle mass and you burn more calories.
All right, 5 easy exercises to make that happen, and you'll see those when we continue.
All right, did you know that the average person loses half a pound of muscle every year from their mid-20s on? Well, this morning in our month-long fitness series, New Year, New You, a workout that will build that muscle back and strength at virtually any age. And what's another reason why you might want to build muscle? Well, because as we've mentioned this week, muscle burns calories 20 times the rate that body fat does. Pat Menachie is a fitness specialist and the owner of La Palestra Center for Preventive Medicine here in New York City, and he's got some basic exercises. You can all do them. And it's kind of a little circuit workout that can be done anywhere. Good morning.
Good morning, Jim.
Circuits. We do circuits all the time.
Yes,
What's the idea?
The idea with a circuit is to set up a series of exercises where you're not really taking a lot of time between each exercise, so your metabolism really doesn't get a chance to rest very long.
So it keeps it up there.
Exactly.
But you're working different body parts.
Exactly. You're going from muscle group to muscle group to muscle group. Okay, the 5 exercises that we're going to do here, anybody can do. Right. I'm going to show you the first 2.
The lunge.
The first one would be a lunge.
What are you working?
You're working your leg in the front, the back, and the butt. And this is a pretty easy movement, especially for anyone out there who's a Catholic. They're pretty familiar with this movement. Okay, you'd hold a chair. The thing that you want to avoid is making sure that you can always see your toes. Your knees should not go forward in front of your toes.
Otherwise, you're going to hurt your knee,
Exactly.
Right?
I'm going to show you 3 levels of each of this exercise, a beginner, an intermediate, and an advanced. For a beginner level, you would simply drop to about 45-degree angle in the top of your leg.
You're standing on a telephone book, too.
Exactly, right. Okay, that's so you have a little more elevation. Now, an intermediate level, you would go down to about, your leg was about 90 degrees
but you're
with
still
the floor,
upright. Okay.
Basically upright. And that's why the chair's a good idea, so you don't lean too far forward.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
I see.
So you lean backward. An advanced exercise here would simply be to not use the chair at all. Have your hands on your hips, step backward to your legs
now
at 90
you
degrees.
can see as he comes up, he's got to use the muscles back here that we
All
don't
your
like to have smaller.
all your hip extensors to get yourself
And not just smaller, but firmer and tighter and more in control.
Exactly. Now, remember using your body weight here, so you're not really using any excess poundage, so it's not going to increase that muscle size. The next exercise would be a push-up. Exactly the same thing as we spoke the other day, the 3 different levels. The first level, if you're a beginner, would be to use some high
kitchen counter.
Exactly.
Kitchen counter's a perfect place. You can throw these in the middle of cooking any day.
Absolutely. The only thing you want to avoid here is make sure that your spine doesn't bend, that your back does not sag. That's a beginner level. An intermediate level would be to go to your knees, to the floor.
We call these girls push-ups,
Exactly, and push them off. And then an advanced level would be to get flat up on your toes and go right to the floor with your chest.
But don't try to do those in the beginning if you can't do them. Start here, and once you feel like you're really proficient, go on to the next level.
A good rule for these things is to, if you can't do 6 repetitions of these, you should go to the level before. Once you can do 20...
So start with about 6.
Exactly.
Add on.
And keep going. Once you can do 20, you would move to the next level.
All right. Now, this is called what?
Single arm row.
Single arm row.
All right. And this is a very practical movement, especially if you've ever mowed a lawn.
Yeah, this is kind of like you are starting a boat or starting a lawnmower.
Exactly. The idea here is to work the back muscles, excuse me, the opposite muscles you were just working.
Yeah, it's not just only your arm, but I can feel where Pat's hand is on my back, I'm working that back muscle back there.
Exactly. So this is a multi-joint movement like the other 2, your elbow and your shoulder. Basically, you extend your arm down and pull it back.
This is a 12-pound weight. Start with a tiny weight. You can buy weights at any, gym or aerobic kind of store.
And absolutely, really all you need are 3 weights. Two lighter ones and a heavy one. And if you can't use these weights,
Then start with nothing.
Can of soup, exactly.
Yeah, a can of soup.
Okay, now this will be a lateral raise. This is for your shoulder. This is another one we do all the time.
Knees slightly bent, right?
Yep, come right up to your side.
Not too high, right?
Exactly, parallel with the ground. You don't want to exceed the height of your shoulder joint. Pick the weight up and let it down slowly. Exhale as you come up and come down. If you can't pick this weight up without elevating your shoulders,
then go to something a little
smaller.
smaller.
The weight is too high. Yes, exactly. Once you can do 20 of these, go up a poundage.
Okay.
Okay, pop those down. And the last exercise we're talking about would be an abdominal exercise. Now, there are many, many variations of abdominal exercises.
All right.
Come on down, Joan. I'm going to do this one with you. Okay, knees are bent. This is probably the safest, most effective one that I've seen. Your hands are behind your head. You simply bring your shoulder blades up off the ground and contract your abdomen. Hold it for a second and exhale and come back down.
And don't let momentum get involved, right?
Exactly. The only thing you really avoid here is to pull with your hands. You want to make your stomach do the work, and to exhale as you come up.
And again, now start with what? You should, like, particularly the beginner, like maybe 6 of these, and then increase it. How many times should we go around the circuit?
Absolutely. Okay, what we should probably do is get up here for a sec. The circuit should be done 3 times.
3 times.
The first time that you would go through, it should be done with relative ease. You shouldn't work very hard on the first time. The second time, you should challenge yourself a little bit. The third time, you should actually be working very hard.
So we're increasing the number of exercises that we're doing each time?
The amount of repetitions, yes, we are. Yes, we are. And, you know, to do this...
6, 8, 10, and as they get better, 10, 12, 15?
Exactly, okay. Exactly. So once you would get to a situation where you could do 20 repetitions on all the exercises 3 times, you would move up an entire level.
All right.
Okay.
You'll feel it. You'll feel yourself working those muscles. All right, Pat?
Exactly.
Thanks.
So, thank you.
And we'll be back in just a moment. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, let's do it. All right, we're here, we're stretching out a little bit. Now, while you're working to build strength and improve your level of fitness, we got a little tip for cutting back on some calories. If you're someone who likes to pile your plate with food and then eat every last bite, our action point for today's series, New Year, New You, eat your meals off a smaller plate. Use the salad plate, even for a week, and you'll find out you won't feel deprived of your favorite foods. You can still have the plate full, but it's just a smaller plate. So you will be cutting down on the quantity of the calories. And we'll be right back. If you've been following us for the past 2 weeks in our special series, New Year, New You, you know that we've been giving tips on how to get and stay fit. And that means sometimes combating some pretty tough times. Maybe you're feeling too tired or too busy. We're coming up to a weekend, and we know that's often a tough time as well. And maybe you're feeling almost sabotaged by friends and family members who do mean well, but they just don't understand what you're trying to do. Well, this morning we've got some ways to help you deal with these problem times. We get advice from Dr. Ellen McGrath. She is the director of the Psychology Center in New York City and California. Good to have you back here.
Thanks.
I mean, you know how this is. I mean, you get going, you're all gung-ho, you're into it, and somehow, you know, you come up against a time, a weekend, and everybody else is playing, and it's so hard.
I know, and you feel like giving up, but this is the critical time to move from feeling like a victim to being a problem solver, because every one of those problems can be solved, especially if you know the common sabotage traps that all of us face when we try to be fit.
So in other words, you could pre-plan so that you don't have to test yourself willpower again and again and again.
It's just key. It's like an athlete visualizing success, so you pre-plan what's going to happen to you and you come up with a strategy. Like, Joan, one of the most common ones is when you go home and your parent says to you, "Oh, I made this just for you." And you face a great dessert or a plate of heaping mashed potatoes with gravy, and you know that you have to eat some of it or they're going to feel rejected. So what do?
Yeah.
All right, you eat half. You visualize, I'm going to eat just half of this, and you follow that. You eat slowly, and you talk more so that they feel more connected to you, and you refocus.
Eat slowly and talk more. That's probably good advice for all of the time, but that's certainly a way to get out of that situation and not feel terrible and guilty and resentful even afterwards. All right, weekends are sometimes the only time that people have to wake up late. And then they think, oh, but I should get up and exercise, and it's like they tear themselves apart over this.
I know. We worked hard all week. I can't bear to get up.
We deserve it.
That's right. I gotta sleep. And you know what you do? You don't torture yourself, you don't deprive yourself, but what you do is one of the action points we've talked about before, which is you make trades. So you sleep in the morning, and then you build in more activity later on by taking stairs instead of the escalator, parking further away and coming in and walking, or go out and play tag with the kids in the park.
But in other words, I get what a resounding thing I hear is that you can't live with deprivation, whether it's food or whether it's something else that you really, really want, like sleep.
That's right. It's exactly right. And there's always a way to do some trades. For example, another one would be, what happens if you feel like you just don't have any time to be fit? That's the number one reason we hear that people say they cannot do it. It's not a lack of willpower, it's a lack of time. So you're running around with the kids on Saturday doing errands, and all you have time to do is drive through the fast food place instead of making a salad. What do? Well, you make the trades again. You get a baked potato instead of French fries. You get half the cheese on the pizza instead of the whole thing.
And if you ask for that, they'll give it to you, too.
They certainly will. And again, it's the pre-planning. And the thing about time to exercise, you make it as regular a part of your schedule as eating or breathing. And everybody can do it because you can always go to bed a half hour earlier and get up a half hour earlier.
But you just brought up an interesting point as far as like going through the fast food. A lot of people say, I eat out all the time. How am I supposed to do this?
Yes, well that's another sabotage trap. We call it fun means food. And what it is that every celebration that we have is associated with eating a lot. Or going out and having fun, like going to the game with the guys, and it means beer and it means eating peanuts.
And peanuts and all those things,
It really
does.
So again, you plan ahead and you figure, I'll make trades. Instead of 2 beers, I'm going to have 1. Instead of peanuts, I'm going to have unbuttered popcorn. I'm going to make those trades to make it work. Skip the bread baskets, share the dessert.
All right. Another one is, and I mean this is a big one for a lot of women. They want to go to the gym, but they really honestly feel like they're going to walk into a class and in their head, everyone else in that room is fit, and they're flabby and fat, and they feel awful, and I mean, that can keep them away from the gym.
I know you and I have both had that. It's so many women. It's called 13 Perfect Bodies in Me. I'm a marshmallow girl
how do you get started?
Or Pillsbury Doughboy. It's that kind of thing. What you do is you assume, most of us assume we have to look better before we exercise, and it's really the other way around. When I started, I wore a huge black shirt and hid in the back. But as you continue to do it, the exercise does make you feel more in control and you do feel better. So you actually need to exercise first and then you start feeling better.
All right, so a few rules of thumb then.
All right, the very first one, pre-plan. Just like an athlete who knows to image the success, think through what you're going to say, what you're going to do, and how you're going to be successful,
how you're going to order,
as you navigate each of these landmines and traps. That's the first one. The second one is you're looking for progress, not perfection. So when you fall off, and we all fail, everybody fails at this, the point is you get back on and start again. The third one is that you keep focusing on how am I going to solve this problem, and if nothing else, you can always walk or talk. Call your exercise buddy and say, I'm going to eat this whole pizza if you don't stop me. And have them do what we call, help you surf the urge. The urge comes up and you need to surf it until it crashes.
You have to learn how to deal with them.
And you can walk, Joan. A 5-10 minute walk is a mood booster and a stress reducer, so that you can always get back in control and get into being the problem solver.
Boy, is that good advice right now when everyone feels trapped in the house, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. And now for our action point of the day, reward yourself with a non-food treat. All the research indicates that people who feel good about their fitness program instead of feeling deprived will actually stay on that program longer. And right now, especially, you know, buy yourself something, maybe those weights for the exercise program. They're not that expensive. It's one of the best investments you'll make. Or go out and get a manicure, buy a basketball. Just treat yourself to maybe the telephone visit that Ellen was talking about with a friend or a relative who lives far away. Go to the movies, read a novel, anything you want, but just be good to yourself, because as you continue on this exercise plan, if you're doing it with us, you really are being good to yourself. And we got to make ourselves important, right?
It's critical.
It's the only body we have. It's the only life we have.
You got it.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment. Thanks, Ellen.
Thank you.
Fat and calories aren't your only enemies when you're watching your waistline. In this morning's edition of New Year, New You, find out how time or lack of it can lead to some big mistakes when you are buying groceries. So you ask, how can you be a smarter shopper and not sabotage your sensible eating plan? Well, Steve Fox asked nutritionist Mindy Herman to show him at the supermarket. But first, she wanted to check out Steve's refrigerator.
broccoli, macaroni and cheese.
Nobody ever said macaroni and cheese can get you an award for Health Meal of the Month, but like lots of busy folks, I enjoy the convenience of popping it in the oven and having it come out dinner.
Well, this is pretty typical of what you would find in almost anybody's kitchen. You know, people have ravioli, frozen pizza, pot pies, macaroni and cheese.
The good news is nutritionist Mindy Herman says I can, on occasion, have my macaroni and cheese and eat it too, if I just learn to stock my kitchen with a few smart ingredients from the supermarket.
Okay. Why don't we head out to the market?
Good idea. It's in town.
Great. Why don't we start over here with a way that you can save time making salads. I know that it's real hard to find the time to wash and cut up the lettuce. So this is salad mix already pre-packaged.
Okay.
While we're over here, there's some other things you can get. You can get carrot sticks already cut up. And you can also get something like broccoli, but be sure to check the package in the back and make sure that it doesn't look slimy and that the broccoli looks fresh.
Slimy broccoli. You don't want that.
No. Okay, meat is another one of those staples that you should really keep around. You've got this kind of meat that you can slice up and cook in 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Meat that you could use for stew. And then we have ground meat, which you can keep in your freezer and actually defrost and cook at the same time in about 15 minutes.
Defrost and cook at the same time. I never knew that. Can you do that with ground chicken and turkey?
And
too?
ground chicken and turkey also.
Now, what about frozen dinners? Everybody's got them.
Sure, and the two things you have to remember, one, don't eat them all the time, and the other is be sure that you read the labels. Here we have 2 versions of Salisbury steak with macaroni and cheese. If you look at this one, it's 370 calories and 19 grams of fat, compared to this one, 270 calories and 8 grams of fat. So this one has 100 less calories and much less fat. But remember, neither of these is a complete meal by itself. They need more calories and they need vegetables and other things to balance them.
They need more calories? You can have too few calories?
Believe it or not, if you eat too few calories, and you need about 600 or 700 at dinner, or maybe even more than that, you're going to be hungry later on and you're likely to nibble on things that are less nutritious than dinner foods would be. Cheese is a great add-on for fast cooking, and if you buy it shredded, that saves you even more time. The other benefit is you can use less. You don't have to do a fat-free cheese.
Isn't fat-free nutritionally the best?
Fat-free doesn't mean calorie-free, Steve. It still has calories, and when it comes to cheese, the flavor of fat-free and also the melting is different. So you're better off just getting a part skim or even a regular and just using a small amount of it.
Okay. Cool.
This is it, we're done. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's just grab a chicken. I'll explain it later.
Already cooked. One of their
Already
roasted chickens. All right. All right, couldn't hurt. I'll get in line.
Okay.
So now what do we have here?
Well, we have a combination of things, Steve, that you had in your cupboard and that we picked up from the market. Here we have that frozen pizza that was in your freezer or the Salisbury steak dinner we bought combined with a salad or combined with some bread. Remember that roast chicken we picked up? Well, we can either combine that with the rice, the couscous you already had, and let's mix it with some frozen spinach.
So frozen vegetables are okay. They're nutritious.
Believe it or not, a lot of frozen vegetables have more vitamins than fresh ones do.
No kidding. What about if you don't have half an hour? You're just flat out hungry, you want to eat, you want to have it over with.
You can do one of my favorites, which is to take a tortilla, spread it with fat-free refried beans, put in some salsa. For vegetables, put in some salad, some roast peppers, and a little bit of cheese. Roll it up, and voila, a nice, balanced, quick dinner.
In less than a minute.
In less than a minute.
My feeling is, let's eat.
And Mindy Herman joins us now. That's one of my favorite things to do, too, for like a quick snack when you're dying when you come home.
Yeah, we did in a minute.
All right, what are some of the things, though, that we... Number one mistake.
Number one mistake is going shopping without a list. Your shopping list is your roadmap to the supermarket. When you have a list, you can avoid those tempting aisles like the chip and cookie aisle. You can buy just those things that you want.
Your next point to me, I learned real early on as far as not going shopping when you're hungry.
That's right, and we've all heard it a million times, and it sounds...
But we still do it, and
we
make mistakes.
And what happens is you would not believe how good that food looks when you're hungry, and you end up with stuff you never imagined you'd buy. The other problem is if you're hungry, you tend to nibble while you're shopping, and then you're done with your shopping trip, and there's a whole bag of cookies in your belly.
And does it depend on when you go shopping? I mean, is there a time of day that's better?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't shop during prime time. Things are really crazy during prime time. You'll just grab whatever's quick and convenient. You won't read labels. It's just a real frustrating experience.
So try to pick a time of day when the people at the store are fewer so that you'll have the time and the patience, I guess, also.
Exactly.
You say don't have shopping cart envy. What's that?
Shopping cart envy is looking at the guy's cart next to you and saying that he has 3 bags of chips, so why can't you buy 3 bags also?
All right, so what's our action point?
And the action point of the day is do a refrigerator makeover. When you go to the market, have at least 5 colors in your shopping cart. Orange for fruits, green for vegetables, brown for grains, like a tan and red for meats. Yeah. And what are we forgetting? White for dairy.
And white for dairy.
And then you'll have a balanced refrigerator and a balanced shopping cart.
That old food pyramid, but we have to have the grains and the pasta and all that down at the bottom, right? Lots of fruits and vegetables, a little bit less meat, and a lot less sugar and fat up there at the top, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Mindy, thanks a lot.
Great, thanks, Jen.
And Good Morning America continues in just a moment. Throughout our special series, New Year, New You, we've been helping you reach your fitness goals, get past those pitfalls, and really make the most out of your workouts. So today we are going to show you relaxation techniques. And these really are as important as any workout. Trust me, you'll feel like you took a mini vacation. I think it was harder for me to learn to relax than it was to learn to exercise. Fitness trainer Barbara Brandt, who's been my guide for years, is going to be our guide this morning. So right now, put down your toothbrush and your coffee cup, and we're going to help you start the day and feel better.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. This was something you really had to help me on.
One of my hardest tasks.
One of your hardest tasks to teach me how to relax. But this is not just like, I mean, exercise itself is stress reducing.
Absolutely.
But these are relaxation techniques.
And they really, really work. I think that years ago people thought that fitness was something that you just experienced from the neck down. And now people realize that the mind and the body are integrated. Performers use it, competitive athletes use it, and visualization techniques can also be used to help combat depression, insomnia, so many different disorders.
Well, I know that you work with a lot of professional athletes. Do they have as much trouble with flexibility and relaxing? Oh, good.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You're in good company.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you some techniques you can use in your everyday life as well as to enhance your workout.
Okay, and it's an abbreviated version, obviously, but it'll get you started, okay?
Okay.
So, any chair, anywhere?
All right, all of you at home, I'd like you to just put down your coffee cups, sit in a chair, and come and relax with us. What you're going to do is you're going to begin by getting comfortable in the chair and closing your eyes, which removes all distraction and stimulation. And I want you to take a deep breath in, breathing in relaxation, and as you blow out all the stress and the tension. What we're going to do is we're going to take a short journey to the beach, which is a very favorite place of mine. And I want you to literally see the tranquil blue ocean. And let's walk over and let's touch the water and feel the beautiful water just bathing our hands and our legs. Continuing to breathe, let's take a walk along the sand and feel as if the sand is massaging your feet and feel it coming up between your toes. And before we leave the beach, let's experience the warmth that the sun has to provide us. See if you could actually sense the difference in the temperature of your body. Before we leave the beach, let's take a deep breath in. Let's inhale the salt water, feel the sun, the sand, the ocean. Exhale and gently open your eyes.
Can I go to where I just was?
I'm glad it feels good.
Well, this took, now, I want to say, it took me a long time to learn to do this because I felt really stupid in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then when I would really be able to just say, okay, this is good for me and I'm going to do this, then I was able to let go and somehow kind of connect with how I was breathing and how my body was feeling and how tense my muscles were.
That's right.
And Barbara always says, use this when you feel like you're really going to like pull your hair out and lose it.
And it has a practical application because first of all, the beauty of it is you don't need gym equipment. You don't have to go to a special place. It doesn't require a lot of time. You may want to go ask your boss for a raise and use it before you go in and you have a, an important discussion.
Oh, and you've also said, and to mentally rehearse. All by yourself and just really kind of see it. And I've used this in sports, too. I've mentally rehearsed jumping jumps. We've done this a lot.
Application.
And when I go out to do a course and the trainer will start talking to me and I said, don't worry, I've jumped this course 10 times.
Right.
She says,
right.
when? In my mind.
And there's so many Olympic athletes that do this and performers that do this before they go on stage.
All right. Now, that's just for every day, and I think we can all use that. But also, if you're working out, that's when you really have to stretch your muscles. And I admit, when I first started, I wouldn't stretch because it didn't burn calories.
Or burn fat.
Or burn fat.
Right.
So I didn't want to stretch, and of course, I'd always get sore. And so she impressed upon me the importance of stretching out. And this kind of visualization can help you get more out of a stretch, right?
And I think that people at home can relate to the fact that when they stretch, they're usually looking for the sensation of pain. So before they've even begun, they're already hooked into the concept of pain. Visualization distracts you from that pain and gives you something else to think about so that it enhances the stretch. And if you can do this with me at home, if you take your fist and you really squeeze tightly.
Which is what we're doing when we're exercising
muscles. This is the contracted muscle. When you release your fist, notice that your fingers don't go back to the original position. You have to stretch them. And this is what we're going to do, and I'd like to guide you on the mat and show you how this can work. So what we're going to do, and you can try this with us at home, is we're going to stretch the hamstring muscle. I'd like Joan to extend her right leg. This is the muscle that runs behind the thigh. And what you're going to do, in order to enhance the stretch, is you're going to pretend that the muscle stretches from the back of your waist, through your leg, and out your foot.
Okay.
So we're going to begin the visualization by closing your eyes, as Joan has done here, and we're just going to start with some nice deep breathing. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. But what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take the color red. This is the color that we're going to work with to enhance that stretch. As you breathe in, I want you to see the color red, and as you exhale, I want you to paint the entire length of muscle red. 4 feet of muscle, so the stretch has to be much more generous. You're going to inhale through your nose, exhale, float the leg back, and just gently see that color red. Let's do this again, and let's make the shade even deeper. You're going to breathe in red, paint the entire length of muscle, inhale, exhale, blow out through your mouth, and relax into the stretch. Let's do this twice more, and this time what we're going to do is we're going to separate the band of muscle into fibers. Breathe in. Let's take a burgundy this time. Breathe in through your nose. Exhale, paint the muscle burgundy, and separate the fibers. And we'll do this one more time. You can do as much or as little as you want. Take a nice deep breath in, generous. Exhale, paint the muscle fibers, separate them. Stay there and gently open your eyes. And notice how much further you went.
Yes. And
it really works.
She can get her leg all the way back by her ears. I don't know. I think you have weird joints or something.
Practice
but anyway,
makes perfect.
Where are we? Right over here. We're going to be back in just a moment with an action point, and thank you.
I love it.
20 minutes of mindful focus or meditation is like getting a couple of hours of sleep.
What could be more valuable?
What could be more valuable? So, for our action point today, it's all in your head. We want you to practice visualization just for a minute, just 1 minute a day. And at some point today, you're probably going to be faced with some kind of a stressful situation. So use this as an opportunity to practice some of these techniques. And the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. And it really can make a big difference. They say that people who do mindful focus and meditation add about 10, 15 years to their life. That's a good incentive there.
I'm motivated.
I'm motivated. I hope you are too. We'll be back. We continue our special series, New Year, New You. We are going to focus this morning on reducing what's on your plate. We all know that feeling of being really overstuffed when we go out to eat. Well, that's because we are. Most restaurants serve portions that are 2, 3, 4 times what you actually need. Even at home, most people don't know what an actual serving size should be. So this morning, we're going to show you. And since it's not easy to cut down, we are also going to help you curb your appetite naturally. No drugs, nothing harmful, just some foods that really work. Mindy Herman is our nutritionist for this series. She joins us this morning.
Hi,
Good to
Jen.
have you here. All right, you know, it's hard to figure it out, though, how many calories are in something. I mean, we were talking about bagels earlier this morning.
Yeah, and this is one of my favorite examples. Okay. Now you see this little
bagel. This is an
eye-opener,
okay? So everybody watch this.
Okay, this little bagel. Now when you are on a diet plan and you are told a half a bagel is a slice of bread, this is the size they're talking about. A 2-ounce bagel equals 2 slices of bread, 200 calories, no fat.
Okay, but 200 calories, that's the kind of bagel that you get if you get it like out of the fridge or at the grocery store or something. Okay.
Now here we have a New York City deli bagel, 6 ounces worth of bagel, Joan.
So wait. So just this regular bagel right here that, I mean, a lot of people eat at least one of these in the morning. That's worth six slices of bread. Okay, God, what is the calorie?
600 calories and no fat.
That's before you ever put anything on it.
Right, truly amazing.
600 calories. Ooh, okay.
Okay, now moving on to a restaurant meal. Go to the restaurant.
This is so hard. They put this in front of you and then you eat it.
Right, and spaghetti and meatballs. It looks good. It smells great, even 8 in the morning. But anyway, this dish with a side salad is a whopping,
where is it?
Wrong card, 1,961 calories.
Think about that for a minute.
96 grams of fat. That is more calories.
Yeah, some women out there, this is what they should be getting, or even more, than what they should be getting in a day.
And 4 times the fat you need in one meal.
4 times the fat. All right. Now, let's talk about how we can cut this down.
Okay.
You go to the restaurant, and what do you say?
And you say, I'm going to share it. And you get half the size, small salad still,
you know,
less
I find
dressing.
that every single restaurant will give you a half order if you ask for it.
They'll charge you the same amount, though.
No, not always.
But anyway, 743 calories, 40 grams of fat. We've cut the fat more than in half.
And you've cut your calories at least
more than in half.
Yeah, I was going to say
it's a big difference.
All right, so that's when you go out to restaurants. I'm really finding, particularly with pastas, get the half order. If you can get somebody to share it, great. Go to the grocery store. All right, now...
Chicken fillet, you can't control what size it is. This
yeah,
happens
I mean, this
to
comes
be
pre-packaged, pre-made like this.
4.5 ounces. The amount you should be eating is about the size of a deck of cards.
Okay, so this is really good because I had a hard time figuring out what's a serving size. And this is so helpful because these are things that everybody has at home, an audio cassette or a deck of cards. So in order to kind of get an idea when you're dealing with meats, just look for that.
That's exactly
Look for that size, okay? That's not that hard to do. We can figure that one out, okay?
Okay, and moving on, we have some other common household items that you can use.
Some cereal here?
Cereal. This is a cup of cereal or the size of a pair of rolled up sports socks.
Okay, so this is a serving size?
About a cup.
All right, so that gives you an idea.
A lemon, about a half a cup. The side dish of rice or vegetables might be half a cup.
So a half a cup is a serving size?
Yeah, and you may eat more than one. This is 2 servings.
Yeah, well, you look at your food pyramid, but at least so we can add it up by the end of the day. Like cheese. I mean, you never know. How much cheese is
an ounce? Is about an ice cube.
About the size of an ice cube, so that's an ounce.
Right, and American cheese, a slice of American usually is less than that. So these are just simple household items that you can use to remember how big portions should be.
Okay, now, what are some of the things? There's some other ideas of how people can try to curb, I mean, because you get hungry and there's...
You do. And if you can put the brakes on your appetite by having something about a half hour before you eat, and people say different things work, fennel, apples, a glass of tomato juice, some water, a seltzer.
I was just saying, remember I was just saying that I just heard something about tomato juice. What do you do? You have a little tomato juice, what, before?
Have it before dinner, and it may work for you, it may not, but these things certainly can't hurt.
So experiment a little and try them out?
Experiment and see what works.
Okay, so it's tomato juice, apples?
Apples.
So like maybe have a little bit of apple before you go out to that lunch with the girls or whatever, and not eat quite so much. Fennel and what?
Hot peppers.
Hot peppers, or it can also be in the form of the hot chili sauce.
And there's an active ingredient called capsaicin, and it not only cuts your appetite if you use enough of it, but it also may jump your metabolism up a little bit.
So, but if you do these with a lot of salted tortilla chips, that doesn't count, okay? That's because then you're going to get the calories and you're going to get the salt and the fat.
There we are.
All right, good ideas.
Great, thank you.
And our action point for today is to experiment with all these foods that may help curb your appetite naturally. So about a half hour before dinner tonight, have a glass of water, maybe some of that tomato juice. Remember, you need 8 glasses of water during the day. Tomorrow, you can try an apple or the fennel or maybe the hot peppers if you're game. See what works for you, though. It's another part of your personal fitness plan. Mindy, thank you.
Thanks, Joan.
Our entertainment editor, Joel Siegel, wears many hats. His latest, a chef's hat. He is our guide to the spa cuisine that helps guests get fit at Canyon Ranch.
Of all the activities here, the one I like best is vocabulary building. Thank you. The word today is oxymoron. It means a contradiction in terms. The example usually given, military intelligence, or my favorite, jumbo shrimp. Or how about spa cuisine? Come on, if it's one, how can it possibly be the other?
Feeding a healthy body requires eating a healthy way, and that's what we focus on all the time, is in this notion of balance. There aren't any bad foods. There may be bad ways of eating over a long period of time, but most anything can work in occasionally. It's just a matter of how often do you have it, how much do you have of it when you choose it, what do you put it with.
People come to spas to get in shape or stay in shape, and no one goes to a spa for the food. But if the food here didn't run the gamut from, that's pretty good, to, come on, this has got to be fattening, no one would come at all. And Travelers Magazine has voted Canyon Ranch the best spa in America 5 of the last 6 years. The 3 rules of spa cuisine: no fat, no salt, no sugar. Notice how delicious is not one of the 3, but they try. And using only natural ingredients, more often than you'd think possible, they succeed. this is your dough.
Yes, this is made from our Canyon Ranch recipe, but if you didn't have the time or the inclination, you could go ahead and buy a pre-made crust or go to your local pizzeria, and instead of oiling the pan here at the ranch, we just sprinkle a little bit of cornmeal on our pizza pan.
Really?
And that'll give a nice flavor and also prevent it from sticking. We've baked this for 12 minutes at 400 degrees.
Did I do this?
Yes, you did. We're dry sauteing half of an onion diced. If they start to stick at all, you can go ahead and add a little bit of liquid.
A little water?
It's very easy to find a low-fat marinara. And
You just have to read the ingredients
read
on
the
the side.
labels. We're going to top this with a low-fat mozzarella, which, when it melts, will create a blanket, and the vegetables will steam underneath that cheese.
That's very clever. I love dessert. That's why I have to come here. And the cheesecake tastes like cheesecake, Jill.
The first ingredient is low-fat cream cheese.
Looks like it has a zillion calories.
The next ingredient is 1/2 cup of fructose.
So this is not refined white sugar. It looks like white sugar.
The next ingredient
Vanilla.
is 4 egg whites.
Virtually no calories in egg whites. Isn't that great?
This is 1/2 cup of non-fat sour cream. Again, we have choices in the
Yes.
store. 1/2 cup of non-fat ricotta. These are chocolate graham cracker crumbs that we're mixing with our unsweetened applesauce. This is a raspberry puree. 35 minutes at 325 degrees.
The cheesecake, 1/10 the fat grams of a normal slice of cheesecake.
Right.
And
This is
probably a quarter of the calories. And this slice of pizza, 250 calories. I remember when you would buy diet food, you couldn't tell where the food stopped and where the cardboard box started. But this is really good enough to be called pizza. And I made this myself.
Good job.
Ah, thank you, Joel. You can still eat good food and still watch those fat grams. Throughout our special series, New Year, New You, we have been walking you through some practical no-fail plans for fitness. Well, this morning, more walking, except this time real walking. It happens to be the easiest, safest, and most popular form of exercise, and Dr. James Rippey is going to show us how to do it right. He is a cardiologist and director of the Center for Clinical and Lifestyle Research in Massachusetts. Good to have you back.
Good to be here, Joan.
You know, I mean, why is walking so effective, though?
Well, from just a practical standpoint, Joan, for 90% of people, when we talk about fitness, we're talking about walking. It's a great way of lowering your risk of chronic disease. It burns a tremendous number of calories. You can get mind-body benefits from it. It's got everything.
Because it's minimal risk, it's what doctors, I guess, always tell you to start with, at least.
Because one foot is always in contact with the ground, the impact is very low in walking.
If you're doing it right, that's true.
Right, so, you know, it's just something that from a practical, convenient standpoint, it's as easy as going right outside your front door. You can do it in any kind of weather, particularly if you do things like mall walking. There's really hard to fault walking. When you're talking about it for physicians, 90% of physicians say, if I'm going to get my patients to exercise, I'm going to get them to walk.
How do you get that message through to people, though? Because they'll say, hey, I thought it was no pain, no gain. If there's no pain, if this is minimal risk, then where's the gain?
The people who think that walking has to be a minimal exercise have not done brisk walking.
This is true.
We've done 3,500 people in my lab in the last decade, and we have never had a person that we couldn't get up to 70% of predicted maximum by walking.
And if you do that, trust me, you will be burning calories and you will be exercising your heart. But let's talk about how you do it right.
Yeah. Now, we all know how to walk. We've been walking
since we were about a year or so.
Since we were about a year. But there are some technical things that will make it more enjoyable and give you more benefit. And they have to do with how the body works, the biomechanics. So part of it has to do with how your foot hits. The faster you walk, the steeper the angle is going to be between your heel and the ground. And one other thing that's very important is how you forcefully push off on the toe. And then your arms are not just along for the ride. As you pick up the pace, your arms become more and more a part of what you're doing.
Is that so that you keep your balance in the body properly, so that when that right leg goes forward, the left, so that you balance yourself and stay in the center?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
The right arm balances the left leg.
Okay.
So we're going to show what the average, our couch potato, should be doing for their walking, 3 miles an hour.
Catch, 3 miles an hour? Okay.
Yeah, okay. So,
that's a comfortable walk.
Exactly right. So this is what it looks like. So just, you can see that, you know, this is 3 miles an hour. Very easy.
So you're landing on your heel and you're going all the way through and pushing off on your toe.
Right. And you're moving, you know, you're pumping your arms a little bit, but not a lot.
So even if you aren't speed walking, you're still pumping your arms, which gets your upper body involved too, right?
Right. And for the average person, this could be a very good fitness activity. Now, if you're a recreational athlete like you are now, you're going to have to pick it up a little bit.
What are you going to do? I'll walk with you. What, 4.5, 4?
We're going to do 4.5 miles an hour, right? The biomechanics are similar, but now we're really going to pump our arms. Okay. So here we go, 4.5 miles an hour.
I know this because I do 4.5 miles an hour
on the treadmill.
So I pretty much know the speed. After you do it like a little gerbil for long enough,
that's right.
You start to learn what it feels like.
At 5 miles an hour, we've had young marathon runners in our laboratory get up to 70% of their predicted maximum. So it's really a terrific exercise for all levels of fitness.
To give them a little inspiration out there, how many calories can you burn with walking?
Depends on how big
you are.
Because
a lot of people think if you don't run, that you're just not going to burn calories.
It depends on how big you are and how fast you're walking. At 3 miles an hour, for the average size person, about 250 calories in an hour. If you go up to 5 miles an hour for a larger person, you can burn 500 calories an hour. If you walk a mile, you burn as many calories as if you run a mile.
So now say that again, because a lot of people can't run because of the knee problems, and they think they're somehow missing out. So say that again, that's important.
If you walk a mile, you burn as many calories as if you run a mile.
Okay. Should you get those little, what are they called, pedometers or something? Or
I don't recommend them because they're not, at this stage of the game, they're not that accurate. But a good way of determining your distance is to use your car odometer.
Oh, sure. Drive out, map it out in your area, right?
Right.
Figure out what a mile is and then go your little course.
And pick different routes. Vary it from day to day. You can visit all your neighbors. And
all right. Got to get people walking out there. It's one of the best exercises. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Jim. All right. So your action point for today is pump those arms when you walk. This is a lesson in biomechanics. Your arms aren't just along for the ride, as Jim said. They do help you. Your left arm balances your right leg, and your right arm balances your left leg. And pumping your arms as you walk really does help you pick up the pace as you improve your overall fitness.
The other day in our special series, New Year, New You, we showed you how to walk your way into new vigor and vitality. Well, we asked Amy Atkins to suit up and check out the leaping and the jumping and the spinning and all the other trends among the physically fit.
Environmental fitness was a lot of us who've been training like this for 20 or 30 years. Now people are really getting more into the environment, and rather than being in the gym, they're using the environment to work out with and getting a great workout.
Shape Magazine's Linda Shelton says the trendiest workout is what she calls the suburban head trip.
So you really have to use your torso as a whole.
Getting your mind and body outside.
This is what we call functional fitness.
Lose the gym and still lose weight. We went to the beach, nature's own treadmill, and practiced bounding, not to be confused with running.
Push off, extend your arms, reach out with your chest, and you want to think about horizontal distance. There you go. I'm bounding. You're bounding. Come on.
Bounding.
One of the things you can do is take that same bounding idea and add some side to side. So I'm going to go side to side and add some lateral movement and jump side to side and change.
Do you have any idea how
stupid I feel doing this? But you look great, Amy.
I felt a little less stupid
side to side
and a lot more tired when I ventured indoors for spinning.
It's so hard.
Not to be confused with cycling, because in a spinning class, you're going nowhere fast.
How many calories? How long do I have to do it? Well, you can burn between 500 and 800 calories in a 45-minute workout.
Really? That's like a Big Mac. It's one of the toughest and most popular classes at Sports Club LA. Spinning started in Los Angeles a few years ago and recently started spreading across the country.
Are you having fun? Me too.
At first, the only thing that spun was my head, but a funny thing happened on my way to giving up. I got into it, and endorphins popping, I began to understand why some people turn into spin freaks.
I schedule my whole day around the classes.
This is the most intense workout that you'll ever do.
Spinning is to cycling what the Stairmaster is to stairs. And Linda Shelton says the hippest stairs you can master environmentally are in Santa Monica.
You're right. People have used stair climbing as a method for sport training, sport conditioning for a multitude of sports for years. Coaches have used this forever.
But they probably never took them for social climbing.
People flirt on the stairs, and I think there are. So I think this is safer than a bar or a club.
And you never know who you're going to run into. We met Sugar Ray Leonard.
It's one of the best ways of getting cardiovascular.
How many times do you go up and down?
Well, sometimes I listen to my body. I can do it 15 times. Sometimes I can do 5 times.
15 times you go up
15
and down?
times, yeah. It's, it takes me a while.
Also climbing in popularity, boxing itself, especially among women.
It's probably one of the best workouts that I've had as far as, full conditioning.
Low, high. At the Bodies in Motion studio, you can't get bored in boxing class because there's so much to think about.
3, 4, low, high.
Boxing pro Fernando Rodriguez says it's a total body workout that gets your heart rate up and builds muscle strength. How many calories does it burn? What'll it do for you?
From what I understand, 500 to 900 calories. It burns a lot. It burns a lot. We'll go through at least a couple Big Macs.
Excellent.
Yeah. Great, Amy. Slip, roll, beautiful. Right, left, right.
Whether it's boxing, bounding, stepping, or spinning, the fitness trend mill never ends.
What's the bottom line? Have variety in your training, an all-round, complete program so that you've got something that's cardiovascular, something that's strength training, something that improves your flexibility. The things we've done today, they seem trendy, but it's really back to basics.
So much of the advice in our series, New Year, New You, has to do with eating. But do you really know what you're eating when you're eating in a restaurant? And this is important because Americans eat out an average of 4 times a week. For example, what is in that crispy, tender, breaded chunks of chicken in a savory golden sauce with sautéed snow peas? Huh? Well, probably a lot more than you think. Spencer Christian and nutritionist Mindy Herman found out.
Well, Mindy, I consider myself a very health-conscious eater, but whenever I eat out, especially at a family-style restaurant, I'm concerned whether I'll have options.
Yeah, I have the same problem, but I think this place is kind of typical of what we'll find, and I can show you how you can eat healthfully here.
Hi, how are you folks doing this evening?
Thanks.
Can I get you something to drink while you look through the menu?
Yeah, thanks, son. Spencer, you said you were hungry. Did you want to find out if they have bread or something to nibble on?
Sure, do you bring
I can bring
bread
you an order of breadsticks.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
I'd like an iced tea, please.
Iced tea?
And I would like some sparkling water.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Thanks,
Thanks a lot.
Mindy, are there certain keywords or menu descriptions I should look for that will help guide me to healthier choices?
Yeah, they are. I know you're concerned about not having too much fat.
Yeah.
If something says crispy, that often is fried. If you see something that says breaded, breaded things are fried. If you see something that says golden, golden means fried.
Exactly.
So there are these keywords to look for as you're looking through the menu. If you're not sure, ask the question.
Now, I notice most menus have light items, and there's some light items listed here as well. Does that mean that you are getting something a little more nutritious?
You need to ask, and you need to look at the menu to see if they either describe what hard healthy means or if they give you nutrition information. You know what I like about this one, Spencer? It's cucumbers, alfalfa, tomato slices, and the calories on it, 375 calories, 11 grams of fat, which is only 1/6 of your daily allowance for the day.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, so that's excellent, and that's with a sandwich with cheese.
Now, should I let that cheese scare me away?
No, absolutely not. With 11 grams of fat, 1/6 of your daily allowance for the day.
So that's pretty good.
So that would be okay. It's a matter of how much cheese is on.
Okay. In addition to those buzzwords you should look out for, like crispy or golden or fried, is there a checklist of questions you should ask that can guide you to healthier choices?
There are, and I've come up with 5 questions that I think would help. The first is, ask how big a portion the item is, because sometimes restaurants really like to give you value for your money, but the portion is so big that we could share it, and we don't need to order 2 things. The second question to ask is, if there's a sauce with an item, does it have cream or butter in it? And a lot of times, if you look at the menu, you're not going to know by the name of the sauce whether it has cream or butter, so if you care, ask.
Okay.
The third thing to ask is if you can have dressing and sauce on the side. That way you control just how much you put on.
Right.
But remember, if you're going to use the whole thing, it might be more than you would have gotten if you'd let the chef put it on.
Of course.
Always ask if something can be grilled, because a lot of the sauce then drips off instead of sitting in the pan.
Right.
And the 5th question I'll tell you later.
Later, okay. I can't wait.
Great.
Mindy, this looks great, and now I feel confident because of your helpful questions that I've made a healthy choice.
It really does look good. And what I did is I went ahead and asked them to bring out the regular Cobb salad so I could show you the difference between the two.
Right.
Without the avocado, the cheese, and the bacon, we've probably saved about 150 calories.
Wow.
And if you look at this salad, it still has a lot of cheese, a lot of egg and olive that I'm probably not going to eat all of because I just want the flavor, not all the fat.
Right, right.
So I feel like I haven't blown my whole fat budget on one salad.
Great. Well, I'm going to give my dish a try.
Spencer, while you're eating, I have a quiz for you to test your dessert knowledge.
Oh, boy.
Which do you think has less calories and less fat, the chocolate cake or the carrot cake?
I would think the carrot cake, but I'm probably wrong.
And I think you are, too. The carrot cake is made with a lot of oil and coconut nuts. My guess is the chocolate cake, although not a low-fat, low-calorie dessert, is the lower-fat, lower-calorie dessert.
Surprising, yeah.
And remember that fifth question I asked that
Oh, yeah.
I told you to
What
ask?
is that?
Well, it's when you order dessert to ask for a lot of forks so you can share it with your family and friends, and that way you don't eat it all yourself.
Smart advice.
Great. Let's
I like
eat.
that. Okay.
And Spencer joins us now back from his adventures in eating out.
I learned a lot. Among the things I learned
Yeah.
is that it's your money, you're spending, you're paying for the meal. You have the right to ask questions. You know, you can ask, may I have something grilled instead of sauteed or baked? May I have the sauces or the dressings on the side and not on the food?
And also, as far as trying to figure it all out, there are tons of little guides out now, you know, that you can get. You can get these at any bookstore, and they'll help you, in fact, with any cuisine.
Sure.
What to order, what not to order.
Also, the size of the portion you order. You can always
Huge.
get a half portion of an appetite, of a pasta, for example.
Yeah.
Because most pasta orders are so big, no one can finish them anyhow.
Yeah, even a half order sometimes is more than we should be eating.
That's
So our
right.
action point for the day, the next time you go out, maybe order 2 appetizers or that half order of pasta instead of an appetizer and a main big entree. That's kind of a quick, easy way to cut back. You can save calories. In fact, you can save money too. Hey, don't you think we've come a long way in just a few weeks in our special series, New Year, New You? I hope you feel better already. We actually have learned a lot, and because you've written and called and faxed and emailed us, we're going to keep on offering the tips and suggestions you want. In fact, we are going to continue our focus on fitness in a regular, once-a-week, every Monday feature on our program. But right now, congratulations are in order to all of you who have followed along with us. Consider this kind of a graduation present and a message of encouragement. You can do it.
Beautiful. Right, left, right.
Our motto has been eat, think, and be active. So here's a quick review. Are you eating too fast? Slow down. It takes 20 minutes for your stomach to tell your brain that you're full. And don't forget water, lots of water. We need those 8 glasses a day to flush out the toxins and curb our appetite, so start pouring right now. And guess what? Size counts. Plate size, that is. Don't let your food portions spin out of control. Fitness isn't only in the gym or in the kitchen, it's also in your head. Keep that fitness log. It will really help you see how much progress you've made. And find a fitness buddy, anyone who can encourage, support, or nudge you whenever you need it. Feeling frazzled? Try relaxation techniques. Think of yourself in a place that's quiet. Just feel the stress flow away. And now that we've convinced you to take it slow, get up. You've got to be active to be fit. It's not enough to talk the talk. You've got to walk the walk. And I mean that literally. Get out there and walk for exercise. It is the easiest, safest, and most popular way to get in shape. And when you can, take the stairs instead of the elevator. It's an easy way to sneak in a few minutes of exercise in an otherwise very busy day. Always stretch those muscles before and after you work out. A muscle pulled gently and slowly is less likely to snap, crackle, or pop. And finally, do include some weight-bearing exercises. They'll build your muscles, which will burn up calories, which will help you look and feel better, which of course is why you're doing all this in the first place. And as we mentioned, we are going to continue our series on fitness with tips and advice and suggestions every Monday. We're all in this together, so we're going to stick with you, and we hope you'll stick with us. We promise to keep you informed, inspired, and thus in control.